Hello, guys.
Welcome to Real Talk at the Round Table. Back for another episode with Coach William Porkham, Coach David Smith, and special guest Coach Patti. We are here and we're going to talk about the tangled mess stuff. We're going to talk about those situations where maybe some of you coaches are like, you know what, I'm going to find another client, but not this coach. Coach Patti, she's looking for it, and she does a great job. And we're here and we're going to be talking about those tangled messes.
That's right. And it's going to be an exciting one. And I'm just going to start it right off because bringing this topic, I'm kind of curious. How tangled of a mess are we going to get in today?
Hopefully not too bad.
Well, I do like them messy. I do like them tangled. So what you got for me?
Well, one of the questions that perks my attention is where did we come up with such a tangled mess?
Have you ever seen Christmas Vacation?
Which one?
National Lampoons?
Have not seen that one.
That's my childhood right there. It's not Christmas unless I watch that movie. So Chevy Chase is out there. He's trying to avoid the relatives, and he's out there with his son, and he pulls out this giant ball of Christmas lights. And he just pulls it out, and he pulls a strand, and he gets this giant ball, and he's like, oh, nope, he gives it to his son to just figure out because he doesn't want to bother with it. I want to untangle that ball because you know what? There's so many beautiful twinkling lights on there that have value and have meaning, and it's not garbage. So to go through that and untangle it is my specialty. I love going through it because there's a story behind it. There's something that made it that way, and there's beauty in untangling it, and there's just something about letting those shoulders down and breathing again after you can just see that long strand after you've done it, the satisfaction of untangling that wire and seeing those lights twinkling, even though Chevy Chase's dad says, those little lights aren't twinkling, Clark. And he says, I know that.
Well,
But
it's funny you bring the lights up because with lights, every light has to work in order for any of them to work. If there's one missing, you got to figure out which bulb it is that's not working.
not the new modern ones.
Mm.
You can still, as long as there's something in the socket, they'll still go on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
you can tell how old school I am. Matter of fact, when you were talking, the Christmas stuff, the thing that I always like is planes, boats, and automobiles
Mm-hmm.
with John Candy. That is hilarious.
Yeah, that
You
is
know.
funny.
But you are a lot younger
So
than me. Go ahead.
Yeah.
so the untangler of knots, that reminds me of somebody here, actually local in Tennessee, by the name of Jamie Winship. He is somebody that really has inspired me, and he is known as the untangler of knots. So just throwing that nugget out there. What about untangling knots is beautiful? Yeah, that was some of your terminology there. Maybe it's a specific story, a specific client, maybe something in your own life. What about it attracts you, do you think, Patti?
Well, it's kind of, like Dave Ramsey says, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And in life, so many people look at a problem and just get so overwhelmed, and they just run from it because they don't know how to tackle such a giant mess, and they run from it, and they're like, that's a tomorrow problem. Whether it's a pile of laundry in the laundry room after vacation, or the messy garage, or something like that, or your finances, all the credit card debt, all of the just not even doing a budget, all those bills coming in, the junk drawer, things like that. Just trying to figure out how to get out of debt, get your life in order. And for me, I needed a plan when I decided to change my life, because I tried so many different plans, but none of them had organization. None of them had a compartmentalizing step-by-step plan. None of them actually untangled things. They were just kind of trying to do things so quickly that you never could kind of see a vision or a plan or slow down fast or slow down enough to really live in the moment and take in the beauty and actually learn from the steps. So when you're untangling things, you're learning, you're doing one thing at a time, you're organizing, you're compartmentalizing, you're learning what to do, you're celebrating the wins, you're learning what not to do, you're learning all these different things along the way. And especially as coaches, we're there step by step with our clients, and we get to celebrate the wins, we get to readjust the plan. And especially if something gets thrown in the way, and then we untangle this one knot, and then we find that we're going along the way and it's straight, and then we find a big knot over here. We can untangle that knot together. And it's one of those things where we just have to just keep working at it one bite at a time, one little thing at a time. And it's just about the process. And I love the beauty of it. It's a story. It's a chapter at a time. It's a page at a time. It's just slowing down. Our lives are just so fast. And if we're not careful, we can repeat it over and over and over again. And that's what I 3 times before I did the Ramsey plan. I tried to get out of debt really quick by payday loans, home equity loans, 401k loans to pay off the debt quick. It didn't solve the problem because I paid it off so quickly that I freed up all the debt. And then I didn't go through the process. I didn't go through the beauty. I didn't do the step by step. I didn't celebrate the wins. It was a quick fix, like going out and buying a whole new set of Christmas lights. I didn't fix the ones that I had tangled up. They were perfectly good. I just had to take the time and go through and unsort them.
Now, you mentioned a framework or a structure in there. How important is it to have that structure while you are compartmentalizing? You're diving deeply into one tangle, one mess, and all of your focus is there, right? And you're going down the rabbit hole, and then you've got, inner compartments opening from within that one, and you're just there and you're consumed. So whenever you get that mess untangled, we'll say, how important is it to have that framework to go back to, right? To keep you focused, to keep you driven, moving in the right direction.
It's incredibly important. As much as we don't like to admit it as human beings, we need structure. We need a plan. We need something, we need a compass. We need something to point back to, because once we veer off plan or when something shifts, we need to go back and we need to start from square one or maybe step 3 or something like that. When people call into the Ramsey show, they say, hey, Dave, I'm coming into some money and I don't know what to do with it. Okay, well, let's walk right up the baby steps. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. You start at baby step 1. They are in order on purpose for a reason. They work every time, no matter where you are in your life, whether you have debt, you own a house, you don't own a house, you have kids, you don't have kids. They are in order and you go right back to them. So if you are out of debt, you have your emergency fund, you're saving for kids' college and retirement, something happens, an emergency happens, you have to use your emergency fund. Well, now you pause retirement, you go back and you start saving again for that emergency fund. Then once you have your emergency fund, then you can go back and restart retirement again. So they work again every time there's a hiccup in your life. They work right again. You pick right up where you left off. But there's a plan. There's clear, concise plans. But you just have to be disciplined enough and you have to be grown enough to admit, I need to follow a plan. We cannot just be willy-nilly wandering around just doing our own plan. That's how we end up in big messes. Just like we need laws. We need laws to follow to keep everyone safe, not only our own selves, but other people. Driving laws, regular laws of, don't steal, don't kill, all those other things. We need to keep have the law and order to keep people safe and keep ourselves in line. So yeah, it's definitely very important.
Yeah, it's a good point you say, and I loved how you brought the laws, and you
Mhm.
brought untangling the mess, and brought it into how you're doing step by step. You're not taking the easy way. Now, for most things, I like going structure by structure by structure. I'm very detailed oriented. I have a process for everything. However,
Mhm.
when it comes to lights, especially if the new ones, you don't have to fix every single one first. I'm going to buy the new ones. But I loved how you tied it all together because, it's key. A lot of people say, well, the laws don't apply to me. And even when you go over certain things, well, we all need to fix this. Yes, we all do. All you guys, I'm perfect in this, but you guys are wrong. And it's so key to realize that we are all in the same boat. Not
Mhm.
one is excluded. And a lot of times, if we look at ourselves, don't worry about others, just look at yourself. If everybody does that, we'll be a perfect nation. But we
Mhm.
always love looking at other people. So we love looking at those other lights. Well, I'm the light that works, but that light's not. So if the strand works, no matter what, and then we just got to pull that pluck out, that's a lot easier than finding which one doesn't work.
Yeah.
Mm.
William, help me out with this one here. David's reminding me of a passage in the Bible about something about noticing the.
Take the plank out of your own eye before
Like,
you take the sliver out
there
of your
you go.
brother's.
There you go. I was gonna say a big block of wood of something, and yeah, I always get those mixed up. But when I hear it, I'm like, I've got to remember that. But I'm terrible at repeating things. So yeah,
That's
yeah, it's,
actually
I mean,
the
it's true.
that's the
Yeah.
piece of wisdom that I was actually using.
Yes, yes, you did very well in putting it in your own words because honestly, I mean, that really truly is our first foundation for laws, and the the first steps to our moral compass is the Bible. And that's because we need that. We needed that because look what happened
You
when
know,
you didn't follow the rules.
right. They're instituted for a reason. It reminds me of a C.S. Lewis quote. It goes something like this: how dreadfully alike all the tyrants, how gloriously different all the saints. We are truly individuals working together cohesively, for the bigger plan, but we're different. We're so different. So, maybe it's, why is that light not shining? Maybe it's like, why is that light not shining the way I think it should be, or the way I think they should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, maybe we can reframe the question: how can I shine
Ooh.
in a way that's complementary with that light? How can we shine together
Mhm.
and bring about his glory?
I
Yeah,
love that. How can we make them shine brighter?
absolutely.
So, and Patty, I'm just gonna use you right now.
Mm-hmm.
You love the tangled mess. I'm just gonna go for a leap here. I think I know why you love the tangled mess is because when you can untangle it and you can make one light bright shine,
Mm-hmm.
it brings beauty to the other lights.
Yeah.
And that is a win for you where you're able to do even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I know you've talked about untangling the new set of lights. Have you ever untangled the old set and struggled to find out which bulb is not working?
Yes. Um, those are a lot harder because you get those wins. You go along and you're like, everything's going well. It's the strand that you're untangling, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, everything looks good, but there's so many lights, and you think that you've gone through every single one of them, you plug it in and it doesn't turn on.
Hmm.
The whole picture is not lighting up. The whole strand is not lighting up. But there's thousands of them. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, but I've done everything. I've checked them all over. I'm pretty sure there's something. There's I've checked them all. Um, that's usually the most frustrating part for me because I'm a control freak.
Hmm.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Patti. I'm a control freak. um,
Hi, Patty.
hi. um, but that's also why I'm doing what I'm doing because I want it so badly for others. I want to help people so much that I put my heart and soul into it. But those are the ones that hurt the most too.
Hmm.
Is when you have done everything that you possibly can as a coach,
And they
but
still don't get it.
there's a bulb out and you
Hmm.
can't find that bulb.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you have to step back and say, what have I done wrong? And then that's when you lean on your other coaches and then they say, you've done everything right. You've done everything you possibly could. And there's nothing that you've done wrong, but it's something that's within them that they're not ready to let go of or that they can't see, or maybe they were just stringing you along, so to speak. But, but that's a really hard part as coaches that we take on because that really makes you call into question what you're actually doing as a
Hmm.
coach because you take it on as a failure of your coaching skills
Hmm.
because you haven't been able to turn on all the lights because you thought you got that new strand of lights where they're all just going to turn on no matter what you do because you've done everything right. But somehow it's just still not turning on for
Hmm.
whatever reason. But you
Yeah.
can't make people do what you want them to do, even if you give them all the tools
Yep.
and they've done all the steps.
Mm-hmm.
They can still go out and get a car loan right after
Hmm.
they get that graduation certificate. And they can still go take out a student loan or do something
Well,
that is just,
it's funny you say that because so many times we see people, they get out of debt.
mm-hmm.
6 months later, they're right back in.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, take anybody who wins the lottery. Most people, when they win the lottery 2 years down the road, they're in a worse position than they were before the lottery.
yeah,
You know, because money does not change your situation. It only enhances what you currently are. So
yeah,
you can work hard and get out of debt, and yay! But if you haven't changed your habits, you're gonna be in the same boat.
yeah.
Right.
So with those types of situations and those types of strands of lights, I've kind of changed my opening strategy and my opening um, talk with my new clients now, where I kind of, go a little bit into it about how, this type of lifestyle is not for everyone.
Hmm.
It is really difficult to do. Um, 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge, but that 80% is more like 800% in
Mm.
today's day and age because it is just coming from you at all different directions.
Sure.
And especially if you're going through the whole baby steps and you're starting off from step one and you get that $1,000 and then you pay off that debt, you don't actually, and I don't know what your guys' situation is and if you've actually gone through the baby steps and you've paid off debt at all, but when you pay off that debt, you don't actually get a raise really. You
Mm.
don't feel this ginormous influx of cash. You don't all of a sudden feel like, whoa, I've got all this money. What am I going to do with it? Because really, you've been, so yes, you're making those payments back because you're not paying those out to the lender. but you're also not, it's not like you're getting those payments plus what you were spending. So it's not like twofold. And that's the
Well,
feeling that I thought I was going to get. And I didn't get that. And that's kind of disheartening. And I was like,
yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
I
I'll go
did
first with a little snippet of, my own personal journey concerning debt. I've never been in just a mountain of debt. Never. It's
Mhm.
just not part of my story. And it kind of hurts me a little bit because I feel like if I had that, then it would be more powerful, but just not. So I did have a $4,000 loan from the bank that I was encouraged to go get as a young man by somebody that was very close to me, very influential, we'll say. Um, so I had that as a template. Like, there was such thing as good debt and bad debt. That's the way I was taught, from youth. So coming into the Ramsey way of looking at personal finance, I was like, wait, all debt's bad? This is a little weird. And then as I continue to dig and dig and dig and start to learn and really apply the Ramsey principles, I can look at my humble reality, because that's what it is.
Mhm.
We live like nobody else today, so we can live like nobody else tomorrow. So I can look at my humble reality right now, and I can say, hopefully, I am a good steward of what is yours, right? Because that's what it comes down to. But like you said, that 80% is almost like 800 because it's coming at us from all angles. These are
Yeah.
our loved ones. These are our friends and our family that, are going and buying the new car, and they're talking about it, and they're getting a lot of their joy and their identity from it. And a lot of the times it leaves us on the outskirts, and it makes us feel like we're not a part, right? So I think
Mhm.
it's so important, especially if we're new to the Ramsey plan, that we find our people. And you can find your person in your coach. You need a coach. Can't do this alone. Okay. You have to have a coach. You can do it alone, but it's hard. And a lot of the times it doesn't work. But when you have a coach there and it's your person who believes in you and actually is following these steps, you're going to get there, and you're going to get there faster.
Now,
Yeah.
Patty, I got a question for you. I,
Mhm.
I, I know you're debt free, but do you
Yes.
own your own house? Because let
Oh
me
my.
tell you something. I own my own place,
Mhm.
and one of the things Dave says is when you finally pay it off, when you own it, go out in your yard barefoot and tell me what it feels like, because it'll feel different because it's a
Mhm.
sense of ownership. And I went out there barefoot, and I'll be honest with you, it hurt. And I was talking with Dave Ramsey one time, and I told him, you tell this, but when I tried it, it hurts. And he says, well, why is that? Well, to be honest with you, I live out in the country, or I did live out in the country. And so we have rocky grass, because you have a
Yeah.
dirt road and it throws rocks up on the grass. So, with that being said, it's not really like regular grass. It's a different kind of grass, it's like rocky. So, for a city boy that's not used to the country, it's painful.
Mhm.
So, when I told him that and explained it to him, he's like, only you, only you. Well, you told me. So, did you go out to your paid off house and feel if the grass is different?
Well, I refinanced my mortgage back in December of 2020 to a 15-year fixed 1.9% interest rate. So I am well on my way. I think I've got like close to $80,000 left on my beautiful home that's worth about 625, 630-ish here in New York, and the taxes are like $1 million. So so I'm well on my way to almost paying it off, because at 1.9% interest rate, it is going down, 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 down. But I just became debt free in April of 2022. So after paying off $285,000 in consumer debt. So I wanted to do it before I turned 40, and I did it a month before I turned 40. So I had a lot of stupid to take care of first
Hmm.
before I could focus on paying off my house. So before I leave here, hopefully, as long as New York does not go down a toilet before 2027, hopefully I can take all of my equity here take it to Tennessee with me, and then plunk it down and buy a nice, good piece of real estate in Tennessee, and then have that sucker paid off quickly so that I can take off my shoes and
Come on.
tickle my toes in the Tennessee dirt. So,
Well,
yes.
Don't get that
it's funny
rocky
you say that
grass.
because we're very close. When I first came to Ramsey, I was over $300,000 in debt,
Mm,
so we're very close.
Yeah.
And when you take that property over there and come here, you're going to get about 5 times the size of the property because you'll get a lot bigger, and especially if you go in the outskirts of Nashville.
yeah,
So
I'm
I
looking at Murfreesboro.
so I do have to say, Mary Bibb, she did correct me. It is called planes, trains, and automobiles.
Automobiles. I didn't want to correct you, but thank you, Mary.
And she don't like grass. So, um, yeah. So, did you have anything, Will?
Yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of my mom's favorite movies. We love to watch it together. John Candy was brilliant in that movie. His comedy, man, I'll tell you, it was funny.
That was
Well,
more of an Uncle Buck fan when it came to John Candy, but yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was pretty good too.
I think
What was
me
that
and you.
movie?
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one too. But Will, the reason why your mom likes it is because she's the same age bracket as I am. No.
It's hard to find the clean ones.
Nowadays.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Normally, if you catch it on, like, I don't know, satellite or something, they clean it up a bit. But yeah, that is important to filter what we're watching. Sure.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah. So, mhm.
go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking that we're about at the halfway point.
Yeah, very close. And so, being that we're at the halfway point, we're going to open up questions to the audience, which currently we have 4 people in the place. And we do like to make a couple announcements. One, we have a sponsor. You can click the link below, and it's going to be Chime is the sponsor for today. $5. This is using a prepaid card, so you're not getting it. You're not using a credit card, but you're using a prepaid to try to help get yourself and control your money. And
Mhm.
we are starting to offer where you can actually buy ad spaces in these now. So make sure you check the store for that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to bring it in chat and we will bring it up. And being that Patty is going to be trying grass out shortly, and Mary does not like grass, William, do you like to put your feet in the grass?
I love to go barefoot, David. Absolutely. We just had a slip and slide out in the yard, and it's one of these where you hook the garden hose up, and it slowly fills up, and then it sprays out the top. I had on a hill, and me and the kiddos, we had one, two, three, four ish floaties in the mix. So we've got 4 kids, 6, 5, 4, and 3, 2 boys, 2 girls, and me and the eldest, me and the eldest boy, the eldest in general. So we're like at the top of the hill. I'm like taking off running, and I jump, pretty much dive onto the float and go all the way down the slip and slide. It's so much fun, and he's doing the same thing. And but the 2 younger girls, well, the 2 youngest, the Beatrice, she was doing a little bit of that, and the 2 youngest, I've got a boy and a girl, and the youngest. Uh, they did not want to do that. They were terrified of it. So they were like, "Daddy, push us." So I was doing that. I was like bowling. It's like bowling. I was like just kind of bowling, and all the way down. They loved it. They're coming back, and then we put soap. We put soap all over this slip and slide. That made it so much better. They were going like twice the speed. My arm was thanking the soap. But yeah, the grass does not bother me at all. I love the grass. I love to go out. into the grass.
Just imagine what it'll feel like when you're debt free or when your house is paid off. So, Patty, I have a question for you. Coming from Mary Bibb,
Yes.
um, being that you love to talk about the messy, tangled mess, what has been the hardest part of your journey?
Was that just the question? The hardest part of my journey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What
I
has
didn't
been
know
the
if you
hardest
cut out
part
at
of your journey?
all. The hardest part of my journey. Well, I mean, I have been on quite the journey. So I've been on a personal journey. I've been on a career journey. I've been on a spiritual journey. Um,
Just pick one.
I mean, just I guess the hardest part of my journey is just letting go of control and letting God take control. That's the hardest part of my journey because um, I am a control freak. I'm trying to reform that, but I find that when I let go and I let God take the wheel, things come out a lot better, honestly. And I don't want to come off as just some cheesy song or anything like that, even though it's a great song, Jesus Take the Wheel. But um, in my personal journey, this past 8-9 months, it's really been very, very difficult for me. And trusting in God and just having Him make the decisions for me and trusting in what He has for me and knowing that He's not going to let me down because everything that He has done for me so far has been just absolutely amazing, and knowing that my journey is not over, and it's only beginning, and he's got me 100%. And he all things are possible, honestly. That's really the hardest part of my journey, is just letting go and trusting and letting Him lead the way. And yeah, that's really.
Well, Mary says she feels you and she's right there with you.
Thank you.
There is something really hard about focusing in on your controllables, and just leaving the rest up to the big man. There's something really hard about that, for me too. Do you mind if we go a bit deeper for yours?
Sure.
Okay. Where do you think it stems from? What do you think is fueling it?
Fueling what? Can you direct
Fueling
the
your,
question?
absolutely. Thank you. I would love to give clarity. What do you think is fueling your longing for control?
Um, the the need for control comes from, obviously, not obviously, because you don't know. It comes from my childhood of not having control over everything that happened to me growing up. Between the moving, the constant moving, the things that had happened to me as a child, the abuse, the neglect, the poverty, the things like that. So the bullying, a lot of things that happened to me that I had no control over, and I didn't have a voice. So as I got older, I decided to take control. And then once I did take control, um, it kind of became an obsession of mine to really take control, because I had lost so much control and so much of my life had been shaped by the things that had happened to me that I decided no more. So, and by that, I controlled my feelings, controlled what I allowed to affect me, and the things that I allowed myself to think about myself, and that was not good either. So anything to any extreme is not good, whether it's extreme control, extreme positivity, extreme negativity, anything to any extreme is not a good thing. But, you know, but definitely going through the Ramsey program and going to enrichment and absorbing a lot of what Dr. John Deloney has been saying, and taking from that, pulling from that, going to therapy, reading a lot, going through coaching. It's definitely made me more well-rounded, more understanding, and I've taken a very deep dive into who I am and what is happening and what had happened. And I've taken a lot of that stuff out of me and I've put it onto paper. So it's no longer in me and it no longer controls me. And by it not controlling me, I'm also not controlling it either.
Right. You know, David, we just had a podcast episode where we contrasted healthy control with unhealthy control, didn't we? I think that it's very important for all of us people, especially as coaches, right, to have a lot of control over our controllables. Because if we're not practicing what we're preaching, I mean, come on, what kind of client is going to listen, right? So with that, in your journey as of late, how are you transferring that need for control on the circumstances and the areas that are not in your control to the things that are in your control? How are you making that transfer?
So how am I transferring my need to control everything to... That's a lot of control in one sentence. I'm just trying to figure out how I can best explain and answer that. Well, I've learned to not need to control as much, if that makes any sense. So my need to control has become a lot less because I've realized that I don't have control over so much in my life. So knowing that and actually truly working through that and realizing that my need is no longer there because I can't accomplish that. And if I can't accomplish that, I'm not going to strive for that anymore because it's kind of like an unobtainable goal. So to me, it's kind of like, no point in trying to control that. So my need is not as strong as it used to be to control everything. So it's not as sharp and as annoying as it used to be. So in order to get to the point where things are out of my control, I'm allowing a lot more to just kind of happen. And I'm kind of living more in the moment. Just on a small scale, when I had gotten into a car accident and I was the driver back in 2018, I was the driver. I was hit by a truck that also pushed me into another truck, and my daughter was in the back seat. And it was probably one of the worst days of my life because my daughter was in the car. But luckily I was in a Subaru, so it was a safe vehicle. It saved us. We were fine. My husband's reaction, as most people do when they're scared, is anger. And he decided to take his anger out on me as if it were my fault. Like I purposely put my daughter in harm's way when she is the most precious person to me in this entire planet. So I had resentment towards him. So because of that, I didn't trust him as a driver. So I would have panic attacks and anxiety attacks if I was a passenger. So I had to be on Dramamine and basically pass out if I were a passenger. And this continued for years. And up until probably about a year or two ago, I can now let him drive and I don't even think twice about it. I still get a little nervous when I see headlights or brake lights and he's not slowing down because I don't have a brake pedal. But right. I've learned to let that go and trust more. And I can let that go. And I went on a cruise, which normally I'm like, I can't swim, but I'm on a boat in the middle of the ocean and I don't have a life vest on. And we had a boat. We just sold the boat because we're planning for Tennessee because we don't need it now. We are slowly purging things so that we can move. But I trusted my husband a lot more driving that boat because I knew I didn't have control. He has his best interest to keep me safe. And so I'm letting things go. I'm trusting more. I'm not controlling the situation. I'm not, I'm trying, and I'm letting him do more things, whereas I always took everything on because I can do the grocery shopping. I can run my daughter here. I can do this. I can do that. I don't need any help. No, I actually do because I'm running myself ragged. So I'm actually asking for more help. I'm allowing people to help. I'm asking for help. I'm not controlling everything. I'm not trying to be the superhuman that I used to try to be. I'm not wearing it as a badge of honor, being busy anymore. I'm letting things go, trying to be calmer, peaceful, just being a different person, and I feel better because of it. Shoulders are down. They don't live up here anymore. I sleep better. I don't know if my family thinks I'm happier or not. I don't know. But I don't feel like I'm a monster anymore. I don't know. But
like, what's all this extra stuff that we have to do now? Why isn't it done?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like I would always come home after working and I would still have stuff to do. And my husband and my daughter, they would just not have anything to do. And I would have resentment, and it's my own fault because I wouldn't ask for help.
Right.
And that's not good. But that's just me controlling the situation. But I turn that control into the resentment. I have control over my feelings and that resentment by me saying, you know what? I could ask for help. Hey, can you do this? Can you go do this? So that I can be done with this earlier so that we can all be done.
Yeah.
All be together.
Yeah.
So I've shifted my control into other things. So I can control the way I react. I can control how I feel, but I can't control others. I can't control things I can't control. So I don't waste my time controlling things I can't control. I can't control people when I'm coaching. I can't control their outcomes.
Yeah. That is super powerful. That vulnerability is so refreshing. Thank you so much. Yeah. It sounds like God in his infinite wisdom in your family has given you more of a bird's eye view of what all needs to be done. And then with that comes the art of delegation, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's like, if we don't delegate, then probably going to be all on us. And I really like how you are now delegating, and your shoulders are kind of dropped down, like you said, and you're more relaxed and trusting. I think trust is a key piece there too. It's like, well, yeah, I can delegate this, but is it going to get done when I want it to get done? Is it going to get done right? Am I going to have to go back behind and do it the right way? Right? I mean, there's so many factors. So, just realizing that, hey, my standard is not the standard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've heard, if you want to get it done quick, have somebody else do it. If you want to get it done right, have Patti do it.
True. But, and it's kind of like, so I was listening to the podcast the other day, Dave Ramsey, and he was saying, this woman had called about financial infidelity. And it's kind of like the foundation, where it's not necessarily the husband took out a credit card and lied to you about it. It's the trust. The trust has been broken, and trust is a foundational piece. And if I'm not trusting that my husband can take my daughter somewhere, or I'm not trusting that my husband can go to the grocery store and get the groceries, and I'm not trusting that he is capable of XYZ, then he's going to feel less than, and our relationship itself is just going to break down. Then our communication, when we come together, is going to be broken down. Then other pieces are going to be broken down, just like with the money. We tried to fix the money piece. Now that's fixed. But then I'm over here breaking the trust aspect. So if I'm breaking the trust aspect, then this piece is fixed, but we've got all these other broken pieces. So there's all, again, it comes back to the strand of lights. I've got this bulb out. I got to have this bulb working in order to make the entire strand work. So it's all these little components that make your life run smoothly and well. And you just have to, one thing at a time, just got to work on it. You win at what you focus on. And I can't focus on things that aren't going to work and I can't control. So I need to focus on things that I can control and that will work.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And you mentioned trust inside of a marriage. It's so important. Trust in any relationship is the vital piece. Remove it, you remove the relationship, right? Especially in marriage. And I think that, it's going to sound maybe a little bit out there. Maybe, I don't know. Trust falls. Those help so much. Maybe it's not trust falls. Maybe it's, maybe it is. And in addition to, hey, I want one thing from you today. And then each day, I want one thing, and make it specific. Give your spouse that one thing. And then as they do it, they're building trust. Super practical. And it's actually something that you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting your needs met, right? I think that that's just a very practical, really well-rounded exercise that all of the married folks out there should definitely start doing if they're not already doing it.
Yeah. And they could just be the most simple things, I mean, making sure, like for me, like a big thing that I don't do is I don't lock the doors most of the time. Oops. My husband can just put it and say, hey, I'm just going to trust that when I come home today and I put the door code in, it's going to unlock. It's not going to double beep at me because it's already unlocked. Okay, babe, I got it. It's that important to you. I got it. Because but that's the thing, is I also have to know that it's important enough that it's a trust thing, because sometimes we just don't know that it's something that's important. Like, you have to also be on the same page too, because what I think is a tiny little thing that's no big deal, it could mean the world to him.
Yeah.
But you got to language.
And we have mentioned two things. You just mentioned tiny, and you just mentioned habits. And that brings me, David knows where I'm going, to Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I feel like that is what that practicality in a marriage does. It's like, okay, one thing every day, and you're just training your partner to love you, to give you what you need, and it's a beautiful thing. It's what we get to do.
Yeah. And it's just the opposite too. Each day you can just as easy fall out of habit.
Right.
Like one day you forget to kiss your spouse goodbye, or you hang up and you forget to say I love you. We always say I love you. Even when we're mad and I hang up on him, I'm like, I love you, bye. Still, because you never know if I'm going to get hit by a car, God forbid, and I don't come home, or something happens to him and he doesn't come home. Even if it was in anger, I still love you, right. And I mean, it's kind of morbid to think of, but that's just the way I am. But those little tiny things, you can build good habits, and you can also build bad habits too.
It's true.
Yep. And it's key, good or bad. Pretty much in every relationship, people are in one extreme or the other extreme. Very seldom do you have somebody right on. However, both people on opposite sides, they pull people in to be together, right in the sweet spot. And so it's key to, like you were saying, we're not right there when we need to, but we are right there because we're working at it.
Hmm.
Marriages get fixed, um, marriages get healed. There's certain things that, you know, it takes a long time to get, and it's broken like that. Um,
Hmm.
and so it's very key to constantly work at it. And we have such a large amount of marriages that break up every single year, but that's because as soon as they get married, before they're married, you got to put your makeup on, you got to make sure your hair looks good, you got to make sure your pants are ironed, your shirts no creases. Once you get married, I'll get to it if I get to it. Who cares if I'm wearing my jeans and they have a few wrinkles? Uh, I pulled my shirt out of the closet. It has some creases in it. So what? I'll wear them out, right? You just stop losing that care. And then,
Yeah.
before you got married, you went on a date night. Every single week or a couple times a week, you dated. When you get married,
Yeah.
I don't need to go on a date night anymore. I mean, we're married. Really?
There you go. Mm.
Keep that
That's,
sparked, you know? Um,
mhm.
and I love how you said, no matter what, no matter how you're angry or not, because a wise man once said, never lay your head down angry.
Mm.
So the thing is even if you guys are upset, I love you, but you have to say I love you so that even if that's your last words, that you loved each other. And that I
Yeah.
have to say is very powerful.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That is powerful.
Well, see, I'll be married 20 years come this October. So, um, and I want to think I set the bar very low because I don't wear makeup. I just wear mascara. So I always told my husband, I'm like, I don't wear makeup but mascara. So when I get older, I can add it on to look better. So when my face gets old and musty and crusty, then I can just put it on and slather it on and look better.
Well, it'll
But
never get old because all you have to do is, as long as you're working,
mhm.
you do facial exercises, and your skin won't get wrinkles. There's things to do to stop anything.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, but life happens though. Oof.
Well, I'm only 25. I'm still just 25. Okay. Um,
Well, my
I
driver's license picture is from when I was 23, so I have not aged on my driver's license.
you
So
know,
that's a bonus.
and the thing is, I always say it this way: every year, I don't have any more birthdays. I just have anniversaries to my 25th birthday.
Oh, there you go.
You know.
So,
So
what anniversary are you on?
we're not going to speak of that, but it's over what I'm claiming. So, but anyhow, we do like to make three announcements, and let me pop up this little screen. First of all, we do have to say we do like to first of all give something for free. Then we like to do something that is paid and something else that is free. Um, so first of all, we have a community that's for all coaches, and we welcome all coaches to come to the community. It is free to join. Enjoy. We'll never charge you to be in the community. Matter of fact, the more active you are, the better you're going to help your own business out, because when you're united with other coaches, you can't imagine what that's going to do for you and your business. So join the
Come on.
community. The comment below in the description will give you all the details for that. Also, um, as you see right up on the page under in between these two fine gentlemen and under or gentlemen and ladies and under me, you'll see the little page. This is a thing that we have going on. So for those Ramsey coaches out there, every single year they have a thing called enrichment. And this is a powerful thing that transforms coaches and is powerful for networking. Last year was the first time I ever went. They did stop doing it for many years. So when they started going back up, I went and it changed my life. Both of these two fine people are going to be going, and it is going to be powerful. So we have a special promotion going on. We have the National Day coming up on the 7th is the Lighthouse Day. And so we are looking at all those Ramsey coaches as they are going to be transformed. And so we have a promotions page. It's also listed below that'll give you all the promotions, all different things going on. And we have special things just for those Ramsey people, especially because it's going to be a time of networking. And so you can definitely take a look at that because it is going to be powerful. And I can't tell you how powerful it's going to be, other than even if I told you, you wouldn't understand unless you went there. Now,
Mhm.
Patty, I know she's gone at least once. I've only been there once, but it is life changing. Matter of fact, when I was there, I have to say this. William was talking to a person and told them, "You have to find David." This person, I was talking to anybody and everybody, and I'm an outgoing person, and I was trying to network, I was talking to like everybody. This person came looking for me, came up to me, says, "I have to meet you." I was like, "Oh, I'm the one going to people to meet him, and you're coming to me?" I thought that was hilarious. So, I mean, I can't tell you how powerful enrichment is, just like whenever you get together with all the coaches. So make sure you check out that page because it's going to be powerful, and these people that's going to enrichment is going to be blessed. Now, next thing I'd like to talk to you about is we have some events. We have the National Day of things that we do, and we have some days that we have coming up. There is the National Relaxation Day, and with that being said, we're going to have an event just for National Relaxation Day, but it's also going to start something new. So there's a few different ways that you can get relaxation. One, you do deep breathing, and the deep breathing will help center yourself. It'll help clear. It also helps medically. It helps your body because it gets your cells the nutrition it needs. So this event is going to launch something else. So make sure you attend that event, and it's going to be really powerful. We're also going to have the book National Book Day is coming up. So make sure you take a look at these events because most of these events are free and it's awesome and it's going to blow your mind. Now, Patty, this is the spot where we
Yes.
usually let you have a little talk a little bit about yourself or whatever you want to talk about. Um, if you feel free to um, speak of anything, bring it on.
I think I've been talking about myself for the past hour.
Okay, William, did you have any final comments?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Patty, for coming on. Yeah, you've been a pleasure. Like I said before, I want to say it again. The vulnerability I was impressed with. It's a rare thing, breath of fresh air. Thank you so much. I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to meeting you at Enrichment and having you on again sometime in the new year.
I'll be there Tuesday. Yay.
Thank you, everybody, and it has been a blessing. Mary is in the comments, and she is also going to enrichment. And matter of fact, she posted in the comments, "Can't wait." So it's going to be a blessing. And as far as the podcast goes, we do have a podcast next week. Enrichment is next week. It's going to be next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A lot of people do stay for Saturday. Next week we do have a podcast when enrichment is going on. So it's going to be a different podcast. We will still have it, but it is after all the activities. So William possibly will be on a cell phone. He probably won't be on his computer, but it's going to be one that you will want to tune into because it's going to be epic. On that note, we'll see you the same time next week. Thank you so much, and have a super great day because you are awesome.